Hello friends, welcome to episode 102 of the Shauna Stitches Podcast. I'm Shauna and this is my crafty channel where I talk about all the things that I've been working on lately. Today is January 1st, 2025, although I don't think I'm going to upload this today, so I'm not exactly sure what day it is that you'll see this. And of course, not everyone watches the day it comes out anyway. You can find links for everything that I talk about down below. That includes all the places you can find me, my Ravelry project pages, and anything else that I might mention in the episode. If for some reason you can't find what you're looking for there or in one of the links, please reach out and let me know. My email address is down below. That's shaunastitchespodcast@gmail.com and all the other places where you might be able to DM me. The very first thing we're going to start off episode 102 with is our giveaway announcement winner from last episode, which was a while ago. That was episode 101, and we did a giveaway for stitch stoppers that was donated to me by Amy from Pro Life Knitter and also Two Sisters and Some Yarn. So thank you again, Amy, for that. Down below, there's a link to her shop for the stitch stoppers. So if you're not the winner, please do go check her out. I'm completely obsessed with stitch stoppers now. Like, I have to have them on every project. They're just so good. I did not know what I was missing before those came into my life. So without further ado, I did a random YouTube picker link and I put in the word stitch stopper because that's what needed to be in your comment to be entered to win. And here is the winner. The winner is Lisa, Knit All the Yarn Podcast 5512. Lisa has Knit All the Yarn Podcast. She's also known as 72 Stitches. And if you don't know who Lisa is, what are you even doing? Because you should go check her out. She knits a lot of socks. How many was it this year? 80 something, I think. No, maybe 90. I don't know. It was a lot of socks. So Lisa says, I love stitch stoppers. I love the Little Debbie Christmas trees. If you do one square every day, you should have it done in 2 years. I love your DVD scrappy socks. So what she's talking about is my Cozy Memories blanket, and I had made a comment about whether or not I could get that finished in the 10-year mark, which would be 2026. So Lisa, I'm going to try to do one every day. I just don't know. So Lisa, contact me. You can Instagram DM me. You can email me. Don't do it here on YouTube just because I won't be able to respond back with the code because I have a coupon code for you for Amy's Stitch Stopper store. If I'm remembering right, she said the coupon, which is $25, should cover 2 sets of stitch stoppers and shipping. So that should be it. Contact me for that coupon code and congratulations. I'm so excited that you'll get to pick some stitch stoppers for your projects. Okay, and I will link down below her shop just in case you want to go check it out. I keep looking down. That's because I have show notes here and I cannot possibly remember everything that I want to talk about. And even somehow when I have show notes, I still manage to forget things. So bear with me, I do have to look down here and there. The first finished object I had in December were my super scrappy Desert Vista Dyeworks socks. I just love these. I used all 11 colorways for my Desert Vista Dyeworks socks that I used in 2024. So January through November. And I just picked 2 at a time using a app called Spin the Wheel. I input just all the months and then let that pick that way. I did one entire color repeat of each, and when one ran out, I started the other. I'm trying to look and see. This, I do believe, is the first sock that I knit. And this one, I started and stopped the ends the normal way. I wove in all these ends, which was quite a lot. I think it took about an hour of yarn weaving in. And I don't think that the jogs look too terrible. I didn't do anything to mitigate that at all. But the weaving in the ends, I don't hate it, but it's an hour of my life I could be doing something else. So for this sock, someone recommended to me the Clasp Weft Join. It is life-changing. I had heard of the technique before and I was super hesitant because essentially what you do is you loop the yarns together and then you're knitting with 2 strands for a short time. And in my head, 2 strands together means DK weight yarn. So I thought there'd be like some really obvious thick spots. There aren't. Like here, you can see this one right here. It just looks a little loose. I probably just need to pull on the end. But if you didn't know what you were looking for, you would never see that. And the nice thing was I did not have to start and stop at the very beginning of the round like I did here. If I was running out or that stripe was running out, it was time to add something new, I just put it in. So I think these are going to be really great for sure. Any scrappy project like that, I will be using the clasp weft join. I really love it and it worked well. So I think that's all I have to say about these. This was my 12th pair for the year. So I completed all 12 Desert Vista Dyeworks. That's part of the knit along that Susan, the dyer, does. And she is doing something different this year in 2025. It's called, I think, Earning Your DVD Degree or something like that. And so there's some extra stuff that I don't quite understand because I don't plan on participating in that part of it. But essentially the monthly socks have not changed really at all. There's a few, like, I think you could ask for an extension if you don't get it done in that month, which I don't plan on doing. It's just so much easier for me to start it and finish it in 1 month and then not have to worry about being behind, I guess, essentially. So I plan on doing this for 2025 again, but it will be my last year. I know I said that in 2024 because she wasn't supposed to be doing one in 2025, but for sure I will not be participating in 2026. I have too many other sock yarns, too many other goals, and I just don't want to keep buying more Desert Vista Dyeworks yarn. As much as I love it, it's nothing to, say that I don't enjoy it or anything like that. I just have other things I want to do. So there we go. The next thing, I will just show you these all together because they're similar, even though they're different. I finished 4 Christmas baubles. These are all designs by Stacey Lewis, who is, oh gosh, I'm forgetting what her handle is. Is it the Yarn Enabler? I can't remember. But Stacey Lewis, these are all from the 12 Sparkly Baubles collection. This one is day 1. Day 2 was color work, so I skipped day 2. This one here is day 3, which is a faux cable. Day 4 has some lace. And day 5 is, this was so much purling. If I ever knit day 5 again, I will knit it inside out and then just do the last couple rounds as purling because I don't even dislike purling, but that was a lot. So if you couldn't tell, I'm going through all of my 2024 Desert Vista Dyeworks colors. I started in January. This was Teenage Mutant Turtles, Winter Rainbow, Crystal Ball Frap, and Spring Rainbow. So I definitely want to finish out the 12, I guess it would technically be 11 baubles for this. And I also want to do this year's. My plan that I really want to do is to finish a bauble this year for every project that I finish. I just don't know how feasible that is. I have so many knitting goals this year. It's insane and I'm already overwhelmed. Speaking of overwhelmed, just a short little segue here into some life stuff because it is very relevant to my knitting. All of my knitting pretty much came to a standstill December 29th evening. This joint, the first joint in my finger here, I just started having pain and that's not normal for me at all. But I just assumed I had overdone the knitting. I mean, that happens. Although I'd never had anything like this. I've had little aches and pains here or there and I just quit knitting. But then I went to go do the dishes and I found I could barely hold on to the handle of a knife to wash it. And again, I wasn't thinking anything too crazy. I just thought it'll be better in the morning. I'll get some rest and it'll be fine. I woke up the next morning and my finger was extremely swollen, extremely painful, like swollen to the point you couldn't even see the little wrinkles in my knuckle. And it was swollen. The whole finger was swollen. And it just didn't make any sense to me because I didn't have any trauma to that finger. I didn't do anything weird. Like, I have no idea. So I posted about it on Facebook and then in another chat group that I'm in. And somebody was really concerned and said I should seek medical attention because they were worried that I might not be getting circulation in my finger. And, that was enough to scare me a bit. Plus I knew, the New Year's Eve was coming up, and the last thing you want to do is like have to go to an ER. And like, this would not be life or death, I don't think, but it's still worrisome. So I went and they said they thought it was an infection, which is just weird because I don't have any cuts or anything like that. They did an x-ray. They said that they didn't see any arthritis or anything concerning with the joint itself. So they prescribed me antibiotics, which I have to take 4 a day, 4 different times a day. So that's challenging. And also steroids. And so let's see, I went on the 30th. Today's January 1st, so I guess today's the 3rd day. And each day it's gotten a little bit better. The swelling has gone way down, and I can make a fist again. I could only get my finger to like here. So it's improving. It's still painful, and I had one entire day where I really didn't knit anything. That was the 30th, the day I went to the doctor. I managed to learn to knit with my middle finger, with my first finger sticking out like this a little bit, but it's definitely using different muscles. And, the last thing I'm going to do is hurt another finger. And so I did very little, which just felt weird. I'm not used to not being able to knit. And then the thought of like, oh my God, what if I could never knit again crossed my mind? And that is just like devastating. So here it is, January 1st. I'm thinking about all my 2025 goals and plans, and I'm already feeling behind, and I'm like a little bit scared. I definitely want this to get better. So anyway, that's what's going on with my knitting in the last few days. Let's see. Okay, let's talk about works in progress. I have so many to show you. The first one I'm going to show you is my incredible blanket. This is a free pattern by Purl Soho, and there is what it's looking like. I can't show you the whole thing. It won't extend all the way on the needles, but there is most of what I can show you. This is a very cool pattern or pattern concept. The pattern itself, the stitch pattern, is quite nice. There it is, my marker. So I put that marker in December 1st. And so all that, mostly I knit in December, everything from the marker up. I will move it again, but I'm not planning on working on this anytime soon, although I want to. I just need all the knitting time and all the unpainful finger time to be able to do all the things I want to do. But this is going to get set aside. I will move that progress keeper before I work on this again. But as I was saying, it's such a cool concept because it's meant for their Purl Soho linen quill minis. And when you order that pack, you get a set of cool colors and a set of warm colors, or I guess it's all one, but you separate them. So I'm using all stash for this, all scraps, and I kept the warm and cool colors because I just thought that created a nice effect. There might be a few here and there that are the exception to the rule, or maybe they have both colors, but I think the overall effect is still really effective. So there's a little bit more of a close-up. You can see my warm and cool color combinations. And I just think it makes for a really striking look. I really, really like this project. And someday I'll work on it again, and someday it will be finished, but not right now. The next thing that has seen quite a bit of work, oops, wrong bag, too many things, as I was talking about Lisa mentioning my Cozy Memories blanket, this is my Cozy Memories, and I currently have tomorrow's square started. If I'm not doing an advent, I really do like to start the next square for the following day or whenever I'm going to work on it. I like to just get that going because that's kind of like the most challenging bit. Not that it's hard or anything, but it just kind of, I don't know, maybe prevents me from making the progress I could make. So this is the side of the blanket, not the top, but this is the row that I have going right now. And no, it's not. This is the row I have going right now. Holy moly. I was like, this doesn't make sense. All these are opal and I'm done with opal. So it was pretty cool because in December, I did not plan this at all, but square 201 was on the 1st, and so 225 was on December 25th, and then this square that I just finished today on January 1st is square 232. So I don't know if adding 365 more squares is enough. Certainly, if I keep that going over 700, that probably should do it. I just don't know that I can maintain 1 square a day. It's not that it's hard. I just have so many other things that I want to finish and limited amount of time. So that's really the issue there. But I did get a square in every single day in December, so that makes me really happy. At least it's making progress. That is my oldest WIP ever. I started it in April of 2016, which is why I would like to get it finished in 2026 or by 2026. I just don't know if that's in the cards. It will get finished someday. The next project I have to show you is a very exciting one. This is housed in my cute little gingerbread house bag that I got with my Charming You 2024 Advent. That's this Advent right here. I still have them up. I will get them taken down eventually, but I thought that they look kind of nice in the background. So I said that's Charming You. This one's Barnyard Knits, and that one is Cuddlebums. And you notice this one looks kind of small compared to the others. That's because I have knit the first 5 days completely, and I had started adding in the 6th. But this sadly has not seen any work since December 29th. And I don't know when it's going to see progress again, unfortunately, because I really want to work on this. I love this. If you didn't watch my Vlogmas, the Cuddlebums, it started with a green, went to the blue, purple, pink, then orange, yellow, and then back to green. So it was a green to green fade. And I really wanted pink to be the focus because, you know, I love pink. And someone suggested changing the way the fade started. So I started with day 15 as my center. 16 is here, 17, 18, 19, and this one must be day 20, I think. So it is just such a gorgeous fade. The way that, I don't know the dyer's name, but the way that they did the colors are just too good. And it is so hard to show off because I have 576 stitches around the needles right now. And eventually it gets to almost 1,200 stitches per row, but not yet. So yes, I really, really enjoy that. I cannot believe how fast and how big it's growing. And I'm technically like 1 mini ahead from the pattern. I'm not changing where it says to change. I am exhausting the mini, then adding the next one using the clasp weft join. It's working wonderfully. And that allows me to use every bit of yarn. So I think that means my border, if it keeps going this way, my border should be slightly bigger, giving me a slightly bigger blanket, which makes me very happy. I did go up a needle size on that. It calls for a 4mm, and generally, you know, if it's something like a shawl, I just go up a needle size because I tend to be a tight knitter. So I went up to a 4.5. I do know, seeing other people's projects, that it's meant to be very loose. So I think I'm getting what I'm supposed to be getting. It will kind of smooth out a little bit when I block it, but it's a blanket and it doesn't matter if it's a bit loose. Okay, the next project I have to show you is just a very small little project. These are my January Desert Vista Dyeworks socks, and I don't even think I've done enough for you to see the pattern yet. I am using my row counter from a Choice Sheared Sheep. This was in my advent calendar, and I'm trying to show you the dog, but he doesn't want to cooperate. There we go. This is my first time using one of these markers, and I know I have other ones other people have sent me. It just seemed confusing, but now that I'm doing it, it's super easy. I don't know why it was so difficult, but it's really nice. You don't have to count. Like, I did 20 rounds for the cuff. Super simple to keep track of. I didn't have to count once. You just have to remember to move the marker. So the pattern, although like I said, you cannot see it yet, it is the Woolly Waffle pattern by Stephen West. I decided for my Desert Vista Dyeworks socks this year to try and use some patterns that I have previously bought but I haven't used yet. And this is from the Stephen West sock collection for 2024, I think. It's either 23 or 24. And it's called Woolly Waffle. It's a very easy stitch pattern. My yarn is Desert Vista Dyeworks in the When I'm 64 variegated colorway. So I decided my new favorite thing is the Spin the Wheel app, and I'm using it for anything that I don't have to think hard about or that I don't want to think hard about. And one of them was my Desert Vista Dyeworks socks. I put all of my colors into the wheel and it picked for me. So I will put a little video of that in here just so you can kind of see what I'm talking about. You will notice each of the entries for some reason had two, even though I think when it takes the one away, it just took both of them away. Not quite sure. I was able to change it. So in the next month, I will show you. You'll only see one entry for each, but that's why it looks like a lot. I don't have that much Desert Vista Dyeworks yarn. Oh, I forgot to tell you. This bag just came in the mail yesterday. This is a Bags by Awesome Granny sock bag. And I had been eyeing this print for a long, long time, and I finally gave in and got it. It's just so cute. So hopefully I can make some good progress on those soon. The next whip I have to show you, this should have been a finished object. This is actually what I was working on when my finger really started hurting. And it is the Timbo vest. It's knit flat, which is why it looks a bit crazy, a bit hard to show at the moment. So I have the entire back panel done. And I was certain I was going to finish this on December 30th, but those plans came to a halt. So you can see I've started the brown section for the front. I just have to go all the way to here and then seam up the sides. So, you know, it's a vest. It doesn't have any sleeves other than sewing in the ends. There's no finishing other than sewing up those sides. So yeah, I really want to finish this. It was supposed to be my last finished object of 2024, and yeah, super bummer that it's not done. Because I really, so few times am I a project knitter, and this is one where I just want the finished project. It's not even a process for me. I don't love it. I do not love knitting on big needles at all. These are a US 10.5, 6.5 millimeter. And I just don't love large needles. I'm really hoping that is not what attributed to any of the finger issues. I don't think so, especially if they're thinking infection, but it just makes you kind of hesitant. So I do want to finish that and get it off the needles. The yarn that I'm using is Knit Picks a Wonder Fluff. This is a bulky yarn. I did have to buy this because I have no bulky in my stash. I'm just not a bulky yarn knitter at all. The colors are Ripple Heather and Moose Heather. And the reason I ended up with these two colors is because these two colors only were on sale when I bought it, and they happen to go together really well. So I had no hesitation there. They're just not my normal colors, but I think they're really nice together. I know that light blue and brown go together really well, so I'm excited to have this done. And you know what? Just a little bit of try-ons, having this on, it is so warm. This Wonder Fluff yarn, if you've never felt it, it's like hugging a cloud. It's so soft and squishy and really, really nice. I will say, if you're going to knit that Timbo pattern, it seems that the yardage estimates in the pattern are way exaggerated from what they should be, because I ordered 3, are these 50 grams? Yeah, I ordered 3 50-gram balls of each color, so 150 grams per color. And I'm not even going to, so I'm done knitting the blue completely. And this is what I have left. So probably 70, 60 grams at least. So that's kind of a bummer. And I had to make the brown section much longer, and I know I probably won't even break into this one at all. So that was not my plan, to have extra yarn left over, but there's not much I can do about that. So, okay, let's see. Am I forgetting to talk about anything? Well, I do have some future plans coming up. You guys have probably seen this already, but there is a pattern that came out last year. It was a mystery yoked sweater knit along, and it was called Do You Yoke. Do, EWE, like the sheep, yoke. And the designer is it looks like Zanette, but I think she pronounces it Jeanette. Jeanette Knits. If you go check out her Ravelry page or her designs anywhere, they are stunning. She was just on Fruity Knitting not long ago, and I don't watch that channel much, so I cannot remember the name of the main lady on Fruity Knitting, but she just knit last year's. Stunning. It is beautiful. So Do You Yoke number 2 is coming out starting January 20th, and I just have to do it. I really, really, really want to focus on old whips for 2025. But the one saving grace is I'm going to use stash yarn, so I feel less bad. So I did a swatch, and actually, although these colors look great on this, this is not going to be the color I end up using. The gray yarn that you see is Knit Picks Chroma Twist Fingering, which they no longer make, in the color Dear Diary. And you can't tell from these swatches, but it is one of those color changing yarns similar to a spin cycle, and it has pink and gray. The problem is, as I started continuing to wind up those skeins, there's a lot of it that has a pretty large section of white. So let's see here. You can see there is some white or lighter color in that yarn, but there's sections where it's much lighter. And I just fear that if I use this color, there's going to be sections where you can't see it against the white background. So I did a little search through my Ravelry stash, and I found, I wish I would have grabbed them. I'm going to actually pause here because I'm pretty sure I know right where they are. Okay, that was easy. I knew right where they were at. So instead of the gray, I have 3 of the 50-gram balls of the Shopple Zauberball Crazy. I believe this is the crazy version, in the colorway English Garden. So I think with an undyed yarn, this should all give hopefully a good contrast. This is my plan anyway. Worst comes to worst, I thought about still using this and just cutting those sections out. So one or the other, that's my plan. It is annoying though. I always struggle with my gauge. The pattern calls for 2.75 millimeters. So did I even start with that? Yes, this is a 2.75. This is a 3.25. and I don't have gauge in either one. I did try swatching with a 3.5 and I just felt that my fabric looked too open. So I am going to use the 3.25, but I'm going to cast on for the sides 44 bust, which should give me somewhere around I know I did the math, 38 or so. So hopefully it actually comes out a bit bigger, but that would give me the right size. So that's my plan. It just sucks going into it because it's so hesitant. Like I would just love to have gauge, but I feel like I never get gauge. It's super frustrating. And I don't understand why. I know I'm a tighter knitter, but I just don't think I'm that tight. And I don't understand how, I'm trying to remember what the stitch count was. How on earth do you get 26 stitches over 4 inches on a 2.75? That blows my mind. Tell me how. The other plan that I have for 2025 is each month of the year, I want to pick one of my old whips to work on. And just like I mentioned how I will use spin the wheel to pick a Desert Vista Dyeworks, I'm also going to use it to help me pick that old whip. So here's a little clip of my spin the wheel picking my first 2025 old whip project to work on. And you will see that picked the souffle. This is so old. I don't even know when I cast this on. I'm going to look it up and tell you because it's been on the needles for quite some time. Let's see here. I started souffle January 26th of 2023. That seems very fitting that here we are, January, 2 years later. Holy moly. Here is what I have so far. The body is still on the needles and I need to get some stitch stoppers on there so I don't lose my stitches. But I think back in 2023, I did not know what those were. So let's see, I'm knitting the size 40, but I bet I am actually getting a smaller size than that just because I know my gauge. And the beautiful mohair yarn is dyed by my friend Anna. So this is super special. Here is what a skein looks like. It's this pinky purple color. And I even did a swatch. So the fun part when you put something aside for so long is figuring out where you were. Luckily, this looks like, am I on ribbing? Nope. Am I? Nope, I'm not on ribbing yet. So I'll have to figure out how many inches I've done, how many more I need to do. I probably will need to try this on. And I remember being close to done with the body, or at least I thought so. So yeah. I have so many things I want to work on and I feel like I have so little time. I definitely want to make progress on, well, I have to make progress on my DVD. Have to. Definitely a self-imposed have to, but I would like to finish out this year of the cowl if I can. I definitely want to make progress on my cozy memories. The anthology throw would be wonderful to keep making progress on. And I would like to finish the souffle. So my original plan was to pick the old whip, and if I finish it in that month, I would spin again and pick the next old whip. And if I don't finish the old whip in the first month or whatever month it is, then I will pick a new one at the start of the next month. So the goal is to at least make some progress, but I would really like to finish some things. And I have way more than 12 old whips, so it's going to be a challenge, I think. Anyway, let's see. I think that is all the knitting, crafting plans. Oh, I do have some other craft stuff to show you actually. So while I couldn't knit, I found out that I could actually do some sewing, which wasn't too hard. So I tried something called foundation paper piecing in quilting. The reason I was motivated to try this technique was because Tabitha from Cabot Cove Knits showed the most gorgeous quilt pattern I think I have ever seen. It's called, I think, Fantasy Forest. It's a Block of the Month Club through Duckadilly. They have Liberty Fabrics, and it is done in foundation paper piecing. This doesn't look like probably the traditional foundation paper piecing. And I will say, after having made this block, which is actually, this is made out of 5 different pieces and then all sewn together, I should have started with something more simple. I thought this looked simple, but I have never done so much ripping out in my life. Even after watching lots of tutorials and thinking that I understood it, it was challenging. I will say I did the version where I did not actually sew on the paper, and for me, I like that way better. Not that I can completely compare it because I didn't sew any with the paper in it, but it was just super easy to just sew right along the paper instead of on it. So I did like that. And then I decided to try crumb quilting, which looks a whole lot like what I just showed you. And as far as that goes, this is way easier than that. The difference is for this, you're not getting like specific shapes. So this is just a bunch of scraps all sewn together. And that other one was just super scrappy as well. So yeah, I don't know. This probably isn't going to turn into anything, but I do love trying and learning different techniques. I keep trying to find the quilting technique that is the one that I decide is for me. So far, of all the ones that I've tried, which is a lot, English paper piecing with the hexagons is by far my favorite. It's just so slow going. My second favorite and the quick one is the jelly roll race quilts. Those are my 2 favorite processes or methods, mostly because I don't like cutting fabric. And that was what was so wonderful about these is that I didn't have to cut anything to an exact size. I struggle with that like no other. I can think that I'm being so accurate and doing a great job, and I don't understand. It just does not come out the way that it's supposed to. And so when I start with a approximate shape and then can cut it down, that is just so much easier. So, and that's what the foundation paper piecing is like. So for that aspect, I liked it. Pull this out again. You can see all the joins where they come together. It's just so exact, so precise. And for that, I really do like this technique. I will put a picture of that quilt that Tabitha is making up because you should fall in love with it like I did. It's just so beautiful. Unfortunately, they don't sell just the pattern. And I do love the fabric with it, but I figured out to get the fabric, to get the batting and the backing, and have it quilted, it would cost somewhere in the ballpark of $1,500. And if I make a $1,500 quilt, I will never use it. And that to me is just so sad. I just cannot picture myself spending that amount of money on something that I will never use. So while I could afford it, and I really want to learn the technique, I really want to make the pattern, I just can't justify it. So if any of you know of any similar quilt, foundation paper piecing quilt patterns, I would love to hear about it. I've looked all over Etsy. I've done Google searches, just searching things like foundation paper piecing trees or row of trees, forest, and I just really am not coming up with anything. So if you know of something or a good place to look for those kinds of patterns, I would love to know. There's no Ravelry for quilt patterns, and I wish there was. All right, I think that is now all the crafting. Actually, it's not. I didn't write this in my show notes, but it just popped into my head. The reason because I mentioned this during Vlogmas, but I know not everyone watches Vlogmas. But I had been searching Facebook Marketplace for, gosh, I don't know, a couple years probably, looking for a spinning wheel. Not that I need one, but just keeping my eyes open. And when was it? Mid-December-ish. I saw a Kromsky Symphony. It's a, I'm trying to think of what it's called. Not symphony, because that's what I just said. It's a type of wheel. I cannot think. There's the castle wheel and the other one. It looks like your very traditional Cinderella style. Is it Cinderella? Anyway, whichever those Disney princesses spun on a wheel. Maybe it's Rapunzel. I'm not up on my Disney, whatever, trivia. But it's a wheel, and it, what do I even want to say? It was in the same town as me. It's for a very reasonable price, and I was super excited to go look at it. So I went and I met with the lady who's selling it. She got the wheel used herself and had definitely spun on it, but had some kind of hand injury where she couldn't spin anymore. And so she wanted to sell it. Underneath the wheel, there is a mark where it looks to me like it was made in 2007. And if that's the case, I feel like this wheel has been maintained very well. I've done some spinning on it, and I came up with a nickname for my wheel of Peggy Sue. And it was just the most weird thing because I don't know, that name just popped into my head. It wasn't even like I was trying to correlate it to anything about the wheel. And that name popped in my head, and I was like, wait a second, that's actually perfect because this type of wheel, it has what I call like a lot of pegs. It's got like a lot of fancy designs where there's just kind of some embellishments, you know, that look like pegs. So Peggy. And then Sue, the lady who sold it to me, her name was Susan. And I just thought that was a really sweet name for the wheel. It's working great. I have had some struggles with it making some weird noises, but I think I kind of figured out that that was coming from the leather of the footman connectors. I ended up tying on some cotton, just like dishcloth cotton, and the noise almost completely went away. So it made me happy to know that it was nothing serious. So yeah, that's really fun. If you at all want to get into spinning, I definitely suggest looking at Facebook Marketplace. However, it helps to know something about a spinning wheel because you would want to know if all the parts are there, if they're working, and all that. The lady I bought it from was so sweet too. She's like, I'm just going to hold on to your money. If for some reason you aren't happy, like she basically gave me through the weekend. She's like, let me know. And I had gotten it after work. I don't remember what day of the week it was. We'll just say it was like a Wednesday. And so I had fully intended, I'll just wait until the weekend. And the minute I got it home, I was setting it up, I was spinning, and I sent her a picture, you know, not long after getting home with some of my own yarn on there, just saying that it was working great, and I was very happy. So I'm sure she was happy about that. All right, let's talk about what I have been reading. I did meet my 2024 reading goal. I think I finished 36 or 37 books. My initial goal was, I can't remember if I set it to 24 or 25, but then I upped it when I met that goal to 35. So I definitely made my goal. And since I talked to you last, I have finished a lot of books. But I've also been off work since Christmas Eve. I worked Christmas Eve, but then when I got home that night, I've been off up until now, and I have to go back to work tomorrow, which I'm not ready for. So let's see. I finished A Stash of One's Own by Clara Parks. I know that I talked to you about that, but I did finally finish it. I struggled to finish a physical book a little bit more than a digital book. I definitely like reading on my Kindle, but that was a very good read, and I highly recommend it. It's just really nice to hear other people's thoughts on Stash. I gave that one 4 out of 5 stars. The next book I finished was Hello Beautiful by Anne Napolitano. And she's the same author who wrote Dear Edward that I read earlier in the year. And I loved that book. And so I decided to read this one. I also loved this one. I gave it 5 stars. It was just a very good book. I also finished The Boyfriend by Frida excuse me. Sorry, I didn't mean to kick the camera there. The Boyfriend by Frida McFadden, and I gave this one 4 out of 5 stars. I thought it was really good, and I thought I had it all figured out because it's like a murder mystery kind of thing, and I thought I had it figured out about halfway. And I'm telling you, at the very end, there's a twist, and holy cow, I did not see it coming. It was very good. I can't remember who it was, but someone who suggested here that I should read the Frida McFadden books. And unfortunately, my library does not have any available through Libby, which I think stinks. But the boyfriend went on sale, and actually, I just got some of is it the handmade, housemaid? I don't know, there's a series by her, and I got all 3 of those books for like $3.49 the other day, which is great. So anyway, the boyfriend had been on sale, and I decided to take a chance, and I hear that all of her books have this crazy twist. So if she can do that in each of those books, wow, she's very good. The next book that I finished reading is kind of an interesting one. I decided to get the digital version of Summer Lee's The Sock Project book. Oh, yeah, I know. So I'd heard a lot of people talking about that book, and I knit a lot of socks, so I just kind of thought there's probably not a lot for me to really learn from this book, but I did decide to get the Kindle version because I watched Summer's episode. I think it was a Vlogmas episode, or maybe it's just a regular podcast, but she was talking about her next book that she's coming out with. And so I just thought, if nothing else, it would be a nice resource. And I do have to say, for a knitting book, she has some really cute little anecdotal stories and stuff like that in there. So I thought it was good. I did read through it. I didn't read through every line of the patterns, but I looked at all of them and just kind of saw some things that she does that were, I thought, interesting, and then some things that she does that I thought, no, that's not for me. But I do like to have those kinds of resources just to compare to what I already do. It's very interesting. I gave that 4 out of 5 stars. And for sure, I do want to make some of those socks in that book. And last but not least, the next book that I finished, I read this book in 2 days. It probably helped that I couldn't do much knitting because of this finger, but I finished The 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, and this book was so good. I don't finish books that fast. I'm not that fast of a reader, and I cannot believe I finished this in 2 days because it wasn't a short book. So good. So good. Highly recommend. Yes, add that one to your list. I really liked it. I'm currently reading 2 different books. I've decided to not just only start my day reading, which I always do, but also I'm trying to read as I go to bed as well, like as I'm laying down in bed. And the couple nights that I have done that, I noticed that I fall asleep, and I think I sleep better. So I know I've heard other people say that, but I think it's true. So the book that I'm reading at bedtime is The Bad Weather Friend by Dean Koontz. And I started this one quite some time ago, and I didn't get very far, and it just really didn't capture my interest. But now that I think I'm 16% into it, it's getting interesting. So I do want to know what's going to happen. And the other book that I'm reading is the 3rd book in the Court of Thorns and Roses series. That's A Court of Wings and Ruin by Sarah J. Maas. And I am really enjoying that as well. It's hard because I hated the first half of the first book. So much so, when I picked it up the first time, I stopped reading halfway, and I just put it down, and I was like, I don't get why so many people like this series. It's terrible. And then I heard more and more people talking about it, and I said, okay, maybe I just need to reread it, stick it out, and keep reading. Which I'm so glad I did, because the second half of the first book is so good. That first half, it just stinks. That's all I can say about it. But the second half is great, and I loved book 2. Book 3, especially because I had such a big gap in time from book 2, it's been a little bit slow going to start, but it's getting better, and I am definitely looking forward to keep reading it. So that's what I'm doing there. And as far as my 2025 goals, I kind of already told you I would like to work on old whips. I really want to not cast on all the things, but you see how that's already working out with the Do You Yoke sweater. I just get these impulses where I see something and I just can't not do it. But we'll see if that works out, because like I said, I'm having those gauge issues. If I cast on and it's just not working out, I may just rip it out and not do it. That being said, it's just so beautiful. Maybe worst comes to worst, if this one doesn't work out, I might go back and knit last year's, because that's the one that really drew my attention. So I think this has been a long episode. I hope that you enjoyed it. I would love to know what your 2025 goals are, and let me know down below. Anything else that you want to let me know, I am happy to hear it, and can't wait to talk to you all about all the things that you're working on this upcoming year. All right, I will talk to you next time. Bye.